Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Hope so students you all are good and healthy. Well, what we are going to learn today? Students, basically we are going to discuss about the cell cycle. Well, in this cell cycle we are going to discuss about the cell division. That how cell used to divide, how cell used to reproduce. You have seen that one cell, that is an egg cell, and this egg cell is going to divide into many cells, millions and trillions of the cell, and produce one chick. So how this thing is happening? We are going to discuss these all things in the chapter, and this chapter is going to answers your many of the questions. So be attentive and listen to me very carefully. Basically, we know about reproduction. The reproduction is one of the basic characteristics of the life. Not only the animals, but plants and the unicellular organisms also reproduce. Basically, the reproduction is one of the reasons which is actually letting to continue the life. And reproduction is also very important. It is also occurring in the cell, as well as you know what, the chromosomes also used to reproduce. They also used to divide. If you are going to look here, then this cell basically splitting into two cells. So you can see here that this cell is basically splitting into two cells. Well, this is not only happening, the cell is splitting, the cell is dividing into two cells, the cell is only reproducing, but if you're going to look at the chromosomes also used to divide. There are the 4 chromosomes, and here there are also 4 chromosomes. The chromosomes, these 4 chromosomes have divided into 8 chromosomes. And you can see now, it means that the chromosomes also used to reproduce. Well, if you remember the chapter number 4, the theory of the Rudolf Virchow, who said that a new cell always used to reproduce from the pre-existing cell. And this is basically the principle of the reproduction. A one cell is going to produce the next cell. There should be something, a pre-existing material, which is going to produce a new material. A cell is going to reproduce a new cell. And this theory is basically the major principle of the reproduction. So, we are going to learn about the cell. Well, students, basically, the cell reproduction is known as basically cell division. The cell reproduction is known as the cell division. And for cell division, we should have to learn about the chromosome. So let's see what is basically the structure of the chromosome. If you're going to look at the chromosome, then we know that the chromosome used to exist like that. Well, what is this central part? This is known as the centromere. And these are basically known as the arms. Basically, students, we have always used to see the structure of chromosome like that. Yes, this is also a chromosome, but this chromosome contains 2 sister chromatin. This is basically one chromatin, and now there are 2 chromatids. And why this is known as a sister chromatid? The reason is that the information that is present in this chromosome is totally similar to the information that is present in this chromosome. That's why these 2 chromosomes are known as the sisters of each other. Basically, this is, if you're going to look here, listen to me very carefully, then let me to explain you once again. What is that? Basically, this is a chromatin, and these are 2 chromatins. And these two chromatins are known as the sister chromatins because this chromosome is totally similar to this chromosome. The information present in this chromosome is totally similar to the information that is present to this chromosome. So that's why this is known as the sister chromatin. So if we are going to look here, then this is the chromosome and the central part is known as a centromere. Now listen to me, students, very carefully. With the centromere, there are the proteins. This is the centromere, and with the centromere, there is a protein that is known as a kinetochore. This is known as a kinetochore. Basically, this kinetochore protein helps to form the spindle fibers. This will help to form the spindle fiber. These spindle fibers will help in the cell division. We are going to learn that in detail, but what we have learned up till now, we have learned that the chromosome, structure of the chromosome. The structure of chromosome is like that. This is a chromosome and these two are the sister chromatin, and this is the centromere, and with the centromere there is a protein named as a kinetochore, and this kinetochore protein used to help in the production of the spindle fiber. Students, basically each cell contains 46 number of the chromosome. Each cell contains 46 number of the chromosome and 23 pairs of the chromosome. If somebody is going to ask you that how many number of chromosomes are present in the human cell, you are going to say 46. But if anybody is going to ask you that how many pairs of the chromosomes are present in the human cell, you are going to say the 23 number of the 23 pairs of the chromosomes are present in the human cell. So, hope so you get that. Now students, listen to me very carefully. If you remember, a cell contains a nucleus, and nucleus contains a thread-like structure, and this thread-like structure is known as the chromatin. When the cell is going to divide, this chromatin used to condense itself. And this thread-like structure, when used to condense itself, it used to become a chromosome. Well, how this thread-like used to condense itself? When the cell is about to divide, this thread-like structure used to condense itself with the help of the protein. The DNA used to condense itself with the help of the protein and will form a chromosome structure. The condensed chromatin is known as the chromosome. As I told you before that there are 46 number of the chromosome present in the human body. Well, now up till now we think so that we have understand the structure of the chromosome. Now let's see what is basically the cell division. Basically, the cell division is going to complete in series of the event. There are many events which used to complete the cell division. While when cell is going to divide, the series of the events used to go through, and after this series of the event, a cell used to divide into two cells. And this is basically known as the cell cycle. This will be known as the cell cycle. The cell cycle is basically the series of the event. A cell is going to pass through a series of the event after taking many time, and then a cell is going to divide into two cells, and this will be known as a cell cycle. Basically, the cell cycles have two parts. There are two parts of the cell cycle. One is known as the interphase and other one is known as the M phase. The M is known as the mitotic. So, M phase means mitotic phase. Basically student, the M phase is known as the mitotic phase in which a cell used to divide. But in the interphase, what is happening? Listen to me very carefully. Basically, the interphase, in this phase, the cell used to prepare itself. The cell used to prepare itself for the cell division. In the interphase, the cell used to prepare itself for the cell division. That's why the interphase used to take too much time as compared to the mitotic phase. The interphase used to take too much time while the M phase is for the less time. While interphase used to take too much time because in that case the cell used to prepare itself for the cell division. In the interphase, as I told you before, it used to take too much time. The reason is that in interphase, the cell metabolic activity is too much high. The metabolic activity of the cell in the interphase is too much high. Well, what is happening in the interphase? The interphase the cell used to prepare itself for the cell division and the metabolic activity in that case is too much high. In the interphase, what the cell actually used to do? The cell used to prepare itself by dividing the material present in the cell. Let's suppose it used to double the number of the organelles that is present in the cell, like mitochondria, centromere. Well, in the interphase, the cell used to double itself. It used to double its mitochondria, you can say. It used to double its vacuoles. It used to double its centrioles as well. Like it used to increase the number of the ribosomes. It used to increase number of the lysosomes, Golgi operators, as well as it also tried to work on the smooth endoplasmic or endoplasmic reticulum. So in the interphase, as I told you before, the cell activity is too much high. The metabolic activity is too much high because in interphase, the cell is actually doubling its proteins, as well as it is also increasing in the number of the ribosomes. It's also used to increase its number of the proteins. It used to double its organelles. So what is happening? That's why in interphase we used to say the cell used to prepare itself for the cell division. The cell used to increase the number of the proteins which are going to required for the cell division. So that's why the interphase used to take too much time as compared to the mitotic phase. That's why the interphase is basically splitting into three phases. The one is known as the G1 phase, S phase, and G2 phase. Well, the G1 phase is known as the gap 1, the first gap. S phase is known as synthesis phase. The S for synthesis. So S means synthesis phase and G2 means gap 2. So the interphase is splitting into three phases in which the different events used to occur. Well students, this was basically the introduction of this chapter and some things very basics I have told you, I have teach you. Now what you have to do is that you have to learn that and you have to make the notes so that you are going to keep memorizing it. Students, listen to me. If anything is not clear to you, then you can comment me so I can reply you at the spot. As well as one more thing is that students, you have to make the notes and if something is not clear, then you can repeat or you can see the video again. Hope so you get each and everything very clearly, as well as if there is any query, you can text me, you can comment me, and you can ask questions through comments, and if you get that, then comment me that you get it. So stay blessed, stay healthy. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.